Tomorrow, I turn 75, and like so many 75-year-olds, last week I made a list of all the people I knew who I could remember. I mean, who I knew well. And I made 2 columns, yes and no. Yes, I fucked them. No, I didn't. And I asked myself, do you have any regrets? Only one. I met them January 2nd. 2019. I don't normally remember dates, but my mother told me she had a surprise for me. So we piled into her car and drove to the top of Bernal Hill to see the moon. When I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut. When we got there, I climbed out of the car, and there it was, a waning crescent. An elegant arc like silk from a spider web. Honey, my mom said, you're 14 years old. I'm done. You're on your own. And she pushed a $20 bill into my palm. And I watched the clouds float over the moon as I heard her car door slam and the motor revved. And I was weightless. Until long, long after she'd driven away. Does it bother you that I refer to my mother as she and her? Because back in 2019, we were absolutely obsessed with gender. So that's why I refer to them as she and her. Those pronouns just crawl out of my mouth. Finally, the clouds abandoned the moon, and there was that plucky little waning crescent. And I looked at it and I vowed, Mom, the next stranger I see, I'm going to bang. Oh my God. Just like that. So easy. A jogger pads by. I'm looking up at the moon and I point. They look up. They say they're new in town. I point out the towers of the Golden Gate Bridge. Salesforce. The dome of City Hall. And then I say, you want to have sex? How old are you? 2 weeks ago, I turned 19. And we start kissing and sort of stumble halfway down the hill. And kind of do it. And it's cold and it's wet, and so we're clinging to each other, and he's talking and talking and talking. And I say, I have to meet a friend, and so I hightail it down Folsom Street, and I spend $6 of my mother's 20 for a pour-over coffee. And then I sit in that cafe until closing time, waiting for the bus. I noticed the only other person waiting was the other bitter ender at the cafe. They try to talk to me, but I just look up at the moon. I notice they take out a paperback. It's written in this odd alphabet that nobody's ever seen. Leather jacket, chin-length hair, furrowed brow, not worry, never worry, concentration. The bus comes, we get on, they talk to the driver in Spanish, and then they come to the back of the bus and sit across the aisle from me, reading their book. Why are you following me? I say. I'm going home. I'm not going anywhere. That's what I thought. They say their name is Yang Yu, and they're in the United States to teach Mandarin. They're from Hunan province. And when I realize that they're from China, I say, did you land on the moon? Not interested. But my face must have fallen. So they say, come back to my apartment. We'll see if maybe it's on the computer. So we go, and there it is. U2, that Chinese robot rover named after the jade rabbit, the sidekick of the moon goddess, the one who stirs and stirs the elixir of life. That robot rover, the first human thing on the far side of the moon. Yang Yu was very quiet. I could tell they were moved, though they always denied it. Why should I care about China? It's where my parents live. When I was 10, I knew I liked other girls, so I knew I was going to get gone. Even before I went to college, I was talking to the Confucius Institute to get me out of there. I've taught in Johannesburg, St. Petersburg, Tokyo, Toledo, Spain, and Ohio, and now San Francisco. I was 14 years old, and I thought I was on a roll. So I reached over and I kissed them. They pushed me away. I'm not for you. Still, Yang Yu let me stay. Gave me a pillow and a blanket and a place on the floor. I mean, that apartment was really just a wide hallway. Refrigerator, hot plate. Still, Yang Yu was the first person I ever met who loved their life. They loved to talk to strangers in that person's language. They were always striking up conversations for no reason. I mean, I thought it was a trick or a game. But you could tell the way it made the other person feel, kind of swoony and goofy with joy. I mean, why connect like that with someone you don't know? I'm such an idiot that it never occurred to me that that might be of use when things got really bad. They let me rub her feet as they read books in languages no one had ever heard of, Manchu, Farsi, Bantu, and they rubbed my feet. Their hands, so small with nails, perfect ovals. I babbled on about some boy I'd liked, some girl I hated, some book that I didn't want to read. They said, Inez, Nedro, Jai. J does not know. I look blank. From the Croat, ignorance is boring. Register, tomorrow, school. And Yang Yu rolled over and was asleep. I went over to the only small window in the place. And there, between the street trees, I could see the moon. I heard the sound of a creaking rocking chair. And then I realized it was Yang Yu snoring. I opened up the window. I felt all jingly-jangly, but home. I called out, Mom? Mom? Fuck you!